is up, teacher friends? Today, something I've been getting a lot of requests for lately, Google Drive. So we are going to jump in here and take a good detailed look at how Google Drive works, what it is, what all you can do with it. So come along, and let's go on this adventure. All right, so maybe your Google Drive is a mess, right? Maybe there's just files and folders everywhere. Maybe you don't even have any folders and your Google Drive is chaos. Like it's just been taken over by disastrous monsters here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to learn more about Google Drive so that you can clean up your Google Drive and you can have a better understanding of what's going on in there. Let's talk about what is Google Drive. Google Drive is your virtual file cabinet. All right, this is the place where you are going to be able to store all of your digital files and have access to them basically from any device. Again, as long as you're connected to the internet, you're going to be able to access your files from anywhere, from any kind of device mostly, as long as you have access to the internet. You can even enable offline access to have access to some things kind of stored on your device. There are Google Drive apps that you can put on your phones or your tablets. You can also always access it through a web browser on a device with access to a web browser. So Google Drive has Google Drive has 6 main parts to it here. Let's take a look at each one of those and how they break down. So My Drive is your personal file cabinet of all your files and folders. It's where you can keep these things in order to have access to them. Shared drives are Google Drives that you share with other people. Other people share ownership of the files and folders and also control over the things that are inside the files and folders. Shared with Me is where you can find files maybe that someone has shared with you, but generally Shared with Me is pretty chaotic. There is just a massive amount of files in there. If you are a heavy user of Google Classroom, then everything that your kids turn in there is going to show up under Shared with Me, and you won't have much luck finding what you're really looking for in there. Recent Files is where you're going to be able to find something that you had just recently been working on. So one thing I go here often for is something that I use every day. It's usually going to be typically up here towards the top of my recent files, as well as something that I know I was just working on and I accidentally closed it out and I want to grab it back real fast. I will just jump straight into the recent files to find those kind of things. Something that you know you're going to want to have regular access to and you want to be able to find it quickly and easily without having to dig through or scroll through the recent files is you're going to be your starred items. So if you've got a file or a folder or something that you know you need to have very regular access to, when you're inside a file, all you have to do is click the star up towards the top of the page, and that is going to fill the star in with the color, and that means that it has been starred and it will be easily found inside your starred drive. Big, huge pro tip here is to keep that cleaned out. Go through there every now and then and unstar things that you no longer are needing regular access to, just to make the things that you do still need to find easier to find. When you do that, you're not deleting or removing the files from your Google Drive at all. You're just basically removing the shortcuts from that starred drive. You're going to organize your Google Drive with folders. You can stack the folders too. You can have folders inside of folders, subfolders. Organize folders. Use lots of folders. Lots of folders is the best way to keep your files easy to access and to sort through. One thing I want to take a look at here when it comes to folders is how you can modify them to make them easier. For instance here, and you can see that I have made that folder red and I have added some little emojis to it as well to make it quick and easy to spot in my folders. Let's go ahead and customize another one of these folders just to have a little bit more experience with that. Let's go ahead and go to this Pear Deck folder. We're going to click the little 3 dots menu, or we can right click on it either way. And under Organize is where we get some options here to change the colors. So we can change that folder to a different color. When we go to rename the folder to add emojis to it, you can just go ahead and press Windows period, Windows period, to pop up the little emoji keyboard, and then you're going to be able to add emojis to it to help it stick out even more. So now my Pear Deck folder is green and had a flag and some eagles, so there it is. It's quick and easy to find it up there. So you can drag and drop files to move them around inside your Google Drive. Just click them and drag them, and you can drag files into folders, folders into folders. You can easily and quickly move things around in your Google Drive with drag and drop. Right click is another way. We can right click on a file or a folder to access the options there, and let's take a look at what some of those options are. You can download a file by right-clicking on it or going to the three dots. So if it's a PDF or a slideshow or a doc, it's going to download a copy of that for you right onto the downloads folder of the PC you're working on. Open with is going to allow you to get a preview of it. It's also going to allow you to open it with another kind of program, like maybe an add-on or an extension that you have. Renaming a file is how you change a file's name. You might want to rename a file. Maybe it's called untitled document. Have you ever done that? You never named a file and you got 75 things in your Google Drive called untitled document. Renaming it is going to help you fix that issue. Sharing is a way to give people access to files and folders in your Google Drive. We will take a deeper look at all the options for sharing in a little bit. Move is another way to organize and move about the files within your Google Drive other than dragging and dropping them. You can navigate through the folder system to choose where you want a file to land. File information gives you details about the file. So if perhaps it's a file that you don't own, it's going to tell you who the owner is. That can often come in helpful if you're trying to find out how to get permissions to adjust or change a file. You also have an activity log that can tell you if it's a shared file and a shared drive, maybe who has been working on that. Trash, that should be pretty obvious, right? This is where all your files are going to be tossed out. Sharing, let's take a look at the sharing options here. You have two main things that you can change inside the sharing options. You can choose specific people to share your file or your folder with. You could also set it to have more general access. You can allow anyone within your organization to have access to it. That means anyone within your @PrincetonISD.net email address. You could also set it to public access, where anyone that has the link to the file is going to be able to see it. If you do that, you want to make sure you have it set to view only. We also have a quick little button down there to click to copy the link if you need to get a link to share with someone. Searching. All right, searching is a big deal. This is how we're going to go and find a file. Let's say you don't remember what it's called. You aren't sure where you stuck it at, which folder it's in. You've been digging and clicking around for forever. Eventually, I will give up on that and tell myself, hey, knock it off. You're wasting time. You're not going to find it. Go to the search bar, use the filters, and it works so much faster every time. If, for instance, you're looking for a Google slide, you can change the type to a Google slide. That way, when it's searching through your drive and your shared drives, everything you have access to, it's only going to be searching for Google Slides files. You can also choose to search for it as the owner. So if it's, it's your file, you want to make sure you're searching just for files that you created, or maybe it's a file that Miss Gerber made, so you're going to change the owner to Miss Gerber, and that way it only searches for files that Miss Gerber is the owner of. Maybe that your file you're searching for has something to do with quadrilateral equations. So you could throw that into the keywords box there to help narrow down your search. Maybe I know that the file name had the letters ETI in it. I know it had ETI in the file name, so I'm going to throw that in here and help narrow down my search that way. Maybe you have an idea of exactly where it's located. Maybe you know for sure that it's only in your drive and there's no chance that it's in a shared drive. This is another filter that you can set to help you locate your file easier. If you know when it was created, like let's say I know we made this file on Tuesday, the 20th of August, you can set your filters for that, and that's going to really narrow down what comes up in your search results. Maybe it's a file that you shared with Miss Nelson. That's going to help you narrow down the files that you pull up in your search results by saying, I know it's a file that I've also shared with Miss Nelson. The settings. The settings for your Google Drive is exciting. This is important. There's a couple things in there, so let's take a quick look at that. Right now that I'm in my Google Drive, I'm going to go up here to the settings wheel and click on settings. This start page is a big deal. If it's set to home, it's not going to be very useful at all, and it's going to make you frustrated with Google Drive and make you feel like Google Drive is useless. You want to make sure you change that to My Drive. That way it's dropping you into your drive. There's an option to make sure that PDFs open always in a new tab. You can set Google Drive to automatically convert a Word doc to a Google Doc when you're uploading it to your Google Drive. Also, we got a good setting on here for sharing. You can check or uncheck that box when you are sharing things for it to make suggestions. For instance, if you've got a team of people that you work with and you regularly share things with them, it's going to start to recognize that maybe that's what you're doing, and it's going to offer suggestions of those names that you often share with. So that was pretty much most of the basics of operating your Google Drive. If there's something that I didn't cover in this video, go ahead and send me an email if you don't mind, and I would be more than happy to look into that for you and provide you with further details on how to accomplish what it is you're looking for. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch through this.